is a perfect, I say this every time, but one of the things that you guys are practicing is you're practicing performing, just like any other skill or repetition is to help you feel better. Like, enjoy each other's performances. I can't wait to hear you next week too. Right, thank you so much. Thank you, Chelsea.
Of course. So, does anyone want to get started? Go first.
I guess I'll go since the
And what are you playing?
I'm playing a piece from the Dvorak Poetic Tone Pictures.
Are you using the music?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't bring a separate
No, that's
copy.
totally
Sorry.
fine. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the piece before you play it?
Dvorak was Czech, and he lived in Prague, I think. So this is based upon lands around Prague, like suburbs. And I don't know particularly which castle this is about. It's called On the Old Castle.
I feel like a lot of them were on an old castle.
Well, there's so many old buildings in
Yeah,
Europe.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I'm curious, Tim, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How do you, and maybe you all can weigh in too. I'm thinking about the structure of the piece as a whole and the sections within this piece. If you had to describe them to someone, what would you say, I suppose? Like, what would you delineate as different sections within the piece?
I don't know quite what you're asking.
Well-
I don't know what terms to use.
Oh, I don't care about the terms
Okay.
at all. The reason I'm asking is because I think we can narrow into a more distinct character for the different sections.
Mhm.
So, which would you say is like the first section, and what's the main idea of it?
The first section is the,
Right. And then what's the second section? Where you feel like it's different, you know, we're in a different part of this. Great. Okay, so let's just compare and contrast those two sections because I think they keep coming back, right? So they're very distinctive. Would you play us the opening actually of the first section one more time? Great. Okay, and now play just the first couple measures of the second section. Perfect. Okay, so what would we say is the biggest difference, like compositionally, with what he did between these two sections?
well, the arpeggio descant thing.
That's a new thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even simpler, what is the opening, really? What's going on? Should I just talk?
It's a chorale.
It's a chorale, but it doesn't have any harmony,
Yeah.
right? It's just this unison octave, essentially, that we're hearing. And then when the second section comes in, we all of a sudden we have like the thirds of the chords. We know whether it's major or minor, right? And I'm
And it
curious-
starts out minor.
Exactly.
Becomes major.
So I guess I would love to think about what character each of those two styles evokes. When you have just these open octaves in unison between your two hands versus the second section that has a richer harmony.
Let me give you the dynamics on here. Because I do feel somewhat boxed in by the dynamics.
So we have piano at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then pianissimo. Okay, you know, I would have thought that it was opposite from the way you played, interestingly.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought your opening, I was wondering if the dynamic was marked pianissimo, because to me, an opening like this, which lacks harmony and has this sort of, you know, just octave thing, it implies a kind of coldness. And given the title, In an Old Castle,
Mhm.
I'm imagining this sort of abandoned castle, right? There's no one living there.
Right.
There's no sign of life. It's just like this imposing structure in the distance, right? And I think with these octaves, there's an opportunity to, in your touch and in your projection, even though it's piano, and especially given that you do have to go softer later,
Mhm.
I think you can have a more focused tone.
Okay.
Would you like to try that?
Sure.
Just the opening. So forget about the piano and just imagine you're projecting this horn call almost to the back of the hall. Yeah.
Right
And
there.
now you have an opportunity also to think about which hand you want it to be louder.
Mhm.
Because they're playing the same thing, right?
Mhm.
And I just want you to experiment. Try once with your right hand louder, and then try once with your left hand louder, and let's see what that will do. Great, so that was right hand louder. That was interesting, right? What a big difference. What do you, I mean, you have the opportunity here to decide which fits your,
Mhm.
you know, interpretation notation more.
And since it recurs,
And so you also have the
Yeah.
opportunity to vary it through the piece, you know? So I like that focused projection. I think it implies a certain amount of coldness. And I think, if I may
Sure.
demonstrate for you, you can still, you know, I think you can find a finger legato between the notes where they're almost overlapping. You know, so it's not. This is very, right, very precise, but I lifted my first finger slightly later, right? It's a very small difference.
I don't pedal at all.
You can use pedal. You would have to lift every single note.
Yeah.
But I think if you try the finger legato, you may find that you don't need it.
Well, it gives different resonance.
It gives
that's
different
that's why I'm
resonance.
asking.
And that's
Yeah.
up to you. You
Yeah.
can vary
Okay.
it through the pieces.
Okay.
So, and then when we come to, actually even this little moment, all of a sudden here we have a full triad. So that's a little warmer, right? I think I got the right notes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then when we go into, well, now play us the second section. The second section, since it has harmony, I think evokes a warmer, like, signs of life, right? I don't know what you might want to imagine. Like, I was imagining maybe we leave the castle and we're going out and there's like all of these meadows with like plants and flowers and like squirrels. I don't know, you know?
I kind of imagine soaring over the whole thing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like
so
you're a
it's
drone.
absolutely. So let's hear the beginning of the second section. Nice. Do you feel less boxed in now that?
Yeah, but I'm also playing a lot louder. I'm not-
I think it's fine. You
Okay.
know, dynamics. What's your loudest dynamic in this piece? Marked forte.
Fortissimo.
Fortissimo. You have so you have a big range.
Mhm.
So it's really up to you where you see the levels. You know.
Mhm.
And one thing I did also want to point out is right now you're playing for us and we're sitting on stage
Mhm.
with you. When you play next week in your concert, people are going to be sitting all the way out there. And I thought that you could do more to project your sound,
Okay.
even if it's pianissimo.
Mhm.
You know, we don't know what the dynamics are, right? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know when you played for us,
Right.
whether it's pianissimo or piano.
Right.
So I think it's important to think more about the effect that he might have wanted.
Mhm.
And I think maybe for this pianissimo section, he wants more like fluttering effect. Have you tried, do you use the soft pedal
Mhm.
for this section?
Mhm.
Can I hear it one more time?
This second section?
Yeah.
I didn't use it that last time.
Okay. So you know the thing that I think a lot of people do, I'm definitely guilty of this, is when we put the soft pedal down, we lose the energy in our fingers.
Mm.
And so therefore it's like a kind of a double
Okay.
muting.
Yeah.
And we still want a little bit of sparkle. So I would also maybe flutter the soft pedal a little bit instead of just having it down for the entire section.
Okay.
So play a little bit louder in your hand, but use the soft pedal as a color.
Okay. I have never fluttered a soft pedal before, so.
Yes, that's so interesting for us to listen to. Good. And then as you did actually this time, since it comes back, this could be like a little echo, right? Even though it's marked pianissimo, and I think you did that really beautifully.
Okay.
Just jumping ahead a little bit to the louder section. Would you mind playing from here?
Oh, you would ask that.
concerned, rightfully so, about all of those broken arpeggios in your left hand. I think your energy has moved away from creating a melodic line in your right hand.
Okay.
But I think actually, if you think more about that, it'll free up some of the tension that you have in your hand because you're worried about making the notes. So forget about playing the right notes for now. Think more about what is this line doing, right? Is that right? No.
No.
That's the lower part, right?
It's doubled, yeah.
Right. Right. And then. Right? So I would do more to shape it, and let's see what happens.
Okay. I need help here because I find it very hard to get a loud dynamic with all these rolled chords.
Okay, why don't you do your left hand for me alone? Because your right hand doesn't have rolled chords, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah, it's just.
They'll do.
Yeah. I would actually suggest a different fingering for the first one.
Oh, really?
Because you have to play the B flat note after. Yeah, I think that makes your hand better. You know, those first two chords.
And I see it's written in there. I should know that.
Yeah, so 3, and then this one 3, because then you. Yeah, so think more about where you're aiming. You're aiming for the top note. The middle, well, we want to have a correct middle note, but it doesn't matter as much. So, and let go. I notice you are holding on to your middle note, I think, as a way of orienting yourself.
Yeah.
But don't hold on to it too much.
Okay.
Right? Be aware of where your finger is, but don't
Okay.
feel like you have to hold on, because if you're holding on, you're stuck and you
Yeah.
can't move, right?
Okay.
So try that one more time. Take your time with it and just find your way.
Both hands are
Just the left hand.
Okay.
Yeah. That seemed better, though I think you have to become more comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
I would also maybe potentially, as a practice technique, try practicing just the outer lines. You know? Yeah, it's like you're creating the outer structure of a building before you fill in the inner pillars and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I might do a little bit of just separate hands practice there for your left hand. But just remember, move and let go.
Okay.
It'll help you much more than holding on, even though holding on feels like the more secure thing to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so once you feel comfortable with that, then maybe let's just do your right hand alone and create that line. So this is interesting where he's written the rolled chords and not in other places.
Well,
It's very
these are all,
inconsistent.
these are all rolled except some of these.
Yeah, that's kind of random, and then this one is not, but the left hand is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly almost wouldn't pay too much attention about the
Yeah,
specifics
yeah.
of it. Yeah. One more time and think more about your top note.
Okay.
And a little softer here. And then get louder. Yeah, so because we're all fortissimo here, what will help you with creating the line is, I think, if you drop down a little bit here. And it makes sense with this E flat minor chord. And then it'll give you space to do a nice big crescendo to make that feel like a peak.
Okay.
The other one thing I wanted to point out is this harmony where we have this beautiful like B flat major. I think it comes like at the end of
Well, this.
These opening sections, yes. This
Oh.
is a really special
Mhm.
chord, right? We don't expect it after we do. And then.
Mhm.
And I would find a color there that delights you. Because that harmony should feel delightfully unexpected. You know, it's like
Mhm.
finding us in this abandoned castle that doesn't have life, finding like this one plant or flower poking out through the
The
stones,
yeah.
you know, something like that. Do you want to try just that little part and show us a color that delights you? And remember, because it's so soft and you might be using the soft pedal, make sure your fingers are very active and
Okay.
don't lose their intensity. Yes, we need to hear that harmony change. I heard it so much more this time around.
I played it loud.
That did help.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions that I can help with?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah,
Good
it
luck
is.
for next week.
I'm glad you recorded it.
Oh yeah, good. So you can listen back. And
So I can
see.
listen back and
Yes,
take all
yes,
this in.
Yes. Great. Thank you. Okay. Who's our next?
Is it okay if I sit over there?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. I know this is so far. Do you also prefer to move?
Mozart Sonata in F, it's number 12, and
May I? I do have my iPad. I wonder if I could. Oh, you have score. And who am I hearing? Oh, thank you. think happens so much during the piece that, you know, it's important you feel totally confident with it. I think you should start the trill a little sooner, actually. It might make you feel a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. Yeah, both of them should be A natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now let's add your left hand. Yes, that felt a lot smoother actually. Were you doing anything different in the way you were thinking about it?
Just a little bit in
Okay.
terms of, I'm really keying off the and. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, and or E and.
Okay, because
yeah.
whatever you did this time worked really, really
Okay,
beautifully.
okay,
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about was this, you know, when we switch from this major to minor.
Oh, here.
Yes, in this opening section.
Yes.
What are you thinking about doing differently?
My plan, I switched it because I used to play this and kind of have this in echo and then this really quiet. Then I
Yeah.
switched. And I'm starting this quiet and building in kind of a really long, slow, gradual crescendo, but then kind of really spiking it up, starting when I make that switch right at this point.
I wonder if you can find more intensity in your minor.
At this?
Because even, you know, the melody is basically the same.
Right.
Excuse me, these allergies in this season. Yeah. Well, we have to be careful about when we put that intensity in. So I actually think we want this note. So, right? That's a heart-wrenching moment, right? This is not so much. But this, and it's extra heart-wrenching because we actually have heard it before in the major, right? But it's kind of pleasant there. But then this is, so I would focus your intensity onto that. Right? We call those like appoggiaturas. They're like accented non-harmonic tones.
Oh, would you come up here or no? You don't like this one? Be an accent?
Yes. Yeah, because if you remove those trills, what you have is really. Right? So we want to make sure we're going to that note. And those trills are kind of, by the way, they're little flourishes, right? But they're not the point of that little line.
Okay.
Yeah, so try that one more time and have that goal be that E natural. But interestingly, I think, we don't come down at the end of this one like we do here. And let me demonstrate for you what I mean, right? So we have right, this is the same harmony for the third and fourth beats, and then a slow where?
Right here.
That's fine. Yeah, you can still do that. But the point here is that this harmony is leading to here, whereas here, this harmony is not leading over the bar line. So I wouldn't you do a beautiful diminuendo at the end of this measure. I wouldn't do it here
Okay.
because the point is to go on
Okay.
and prepare this little sforzando piano that we have on that downbeat. You want to try from here?
From here, sure.
So come down there, yeah. Yes. Now you're starting again. And now, yes, yes. And then that's special, right? Ending, because we think it's gonna end. But it's take a little bit of time there and enjoy it, you know? I think in general, actually, Dave, you could take more time in many of the places in this movement. And that can happen with a slightly slower tempo, but it can also happen in moments like these where something special happens, you know? I think
That's a big battle for me. I mean,
taking time.
Well, keeping time. Now you want me to give it away.
Well, you know, I feel like people have the opposite problem than you because mostly people take so much time with rubato that they have, I guess, trouble keeping it constant. I feel like you do a great job of keeping it constant, but you can stretch it more. Yeah. My piano teacher growing up would always say robbing time and then giving it back, right? Exactly. But you have to be strategic about it in a composer like Mozart as opposed to, Dvorak, Rachmaninoff, Chopin.
I really think like what you're talking about. Like, oh,
Yes.
This is unexpected.
Yes, I mean, I think that's, our ears living in 2025, we're so used to these harmonies. We hear crunchier stuff all the time, right? And so if you think back to when Mozart was writing this, that would have, everyone in the audience would have gone like, oh, he did that, and so we as performers, when we perform these pieces, 300 years later, we have to recreate those special moments for the audience, in the way we play it. And someone who knows music theory sure might be sitting in the audience and say, oh cool, he ended on major instead of minor. The average layperson doesn't know, right? So we have to lead them on that path of making things special. So if I were you, I would go through the piece, playing it for yourself, don't worry about timing or whatever, but imagine you're hearing it for the first time, and you're in 1772 or whenever Mozart wrote this, right? And imagine you're hearing it for the first time and circle everything that's a special moment for you.
Okay.
And so then right, when you're coming up to it, oh, this is a place where I can take a little bit more time and enjoy it.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. Do you want to try that chromatic?
No.
Cool. I would really suggest maybe taking it at 60.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, do it at 60,
And
put
I
the
try-
metronome on, and
I have an accelerando in my head on it, and that's where I get tangled.
Right.
But-
Well, I'll just give you a practice suggestion with it, which my teacher has often suggested, is to make sure when you practice it, so this is not practicing with any, musicality, as we might say, is to accent where it lines up. But it is great for your fingers to know when things happen at the same time. So I would do that slowly a few times so that you really get used to where things line up, and then you'll find it'll be like nothing at all.
Okay.
So just practice accenting those notes that line up.
Your lips to God.
Great job. Very wonderful.
There's some music coming.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Nikki, what are you doing? Oh, I love Medler. I feel like he's not very often played.
Yes. So I want to play no one knows.
I don't know this one. I
Ritter is a Russian composer, and he was the same era of the Rachmaninoff and another one. No, it's Scriabin, right. Rachmaninoff has a big name, and then Scriabin was also, so that name was almost a forgotten
Yes.
composer, but he was very famous for creating a lot of fairy tale. So
Yes.
today's piece is one of the fairy tale, and so the please enjoy. Hope you enjoy.
stuck out to me, and it only sticks out to me because everything else is so good, is somewhere in this range of the piano, I see that you have technique that's close to your hand, and I think it's like, I'm thinking back to when I play my instrument, I think it's probably good to start off a little slower, and then fill those anchor points, because I think that was like a crescendo going down will have my ear adapt to it more, because I kind of got lost a little bit
Yeah, that was challenging too. Thank you. Yeah, it is true. Yeah, thank you.
The really tricky thing with Medner, because I really played quite a bit of his music is very dense in the middle register of the piano. And you know, higher register, it's easy to hear things. Lower register, we do a good job of clearing the pedal. But when you have a lot of middle voices in the middle register, it's very hard to distinguish between them. And so we have to do a lot of extra work for Medner as a performer to like make sure we're picking what we want to come out. Yeah, so that's just an ongoing thing to work on.
Learning those, it's so enjoyment.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Voiced.
Yes.
Voiced.
Very beautifully voiced in your right hand.
Michelle?
So yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, I wasn't, I still feel that section where we, and maybe that's a good time to do that, where the music stopped. I just thought she was like, it's almost like, undistinct, I'm not sure what's happening. That was a little confusing.
Which section?
I think she gave it also the, I think here.
Oh yes, I think you don't know exactly how you want it to sound.
Yeah, it's still
right? You're still
the
figuring
audience also
It
confused.
was. I felt like it wasn't. You weren't convinced by
Yeah.
what you were doing.
And I wasn't convinced.
Yeah. Of course. If you're not convinced, then it's hard for the
Yeah,
audience.
myself. Too much to help.
Yeah, and it's tricky because you have an accelerando into it and then it kind of just stops, right? So it's hard. Okay, so there's one other thing that I would like to just think about a little bit before we get to that section, which is I think you can do more in your left hand in certain sections because you voice beautifully to the right hand. But sometimes we want to do the left hand, like in this, on the second page, you know, this cantando section, where now your right hand really doesn't matter, and we have this sort of melodic thing in your bass, and we would really enjoy that because it would change the texture a little bit. Yeah. Some more. Yeah. But also less right hand. Yeah. Because also your right hand has these accents, so we don't really need to hear too much of the other stuff, right? So you can still start soft, but just have a balance, like, right? So then you have a crescendo you can do in your left hand. Yes. Now we hear a melody, right, in the left hand. And because, you know, in the whole section before that, there's so much like right hand focus that I think it provides a nice contrast here. And I think this cantando, the cantando is for the left hand, right? That's the singing, right? Right? And then here, of course, this inner voice will come out and it'll be, it's coming out of the left hand, right? And so you can play around with that. And then this whole section, I thought your right hand could be much softer for all of this.
The more left hand.
No blue quarter pedal during that, because that makes it fuzzier and.
How about using una cuerda there?
No, she's using.
Are you? You're using una cuerda there? The left pedal?
Looks like it.
Oh.
Just take it off.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually use una cuerda. I wouldn't use the left pedal. Right pedal, you were playing, where were you playing? Here, right?
Yeah.
Play it one more time for me, please.
From
Maybe from here, actually. I still think it's a little too weighted towards your right hand compared to the left hand. And you know, I think the interesting thing about this right hand is it's on the and of each beat. Right? And so what's the difference created by him putting in 1, 2, 3 versus 1 and 2 and, right? There's a lifting energy to it. I think you can make them slightly shorter and lifted.
I see.
See, now we don't listen so much to the right hand because it's let's keep going and see what happens with this big section. Wherever you want to start, that's comfortable.
I'm laughing because
You-
I was not sure.
You pull away at the last moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You know, sometimes with things like this, it's equally important what we do physically to convey
Yeah.
this like sudden stop. It's like you're building to such a pitch and then it just shuts down, right? So
Right.
maybe can you start from here and yeah. So do it slightly slower
Slower, okay.
so that you're not so worried about it. You know, even though he says crescendo and accelerando, I
Yeah.
would maybe broaden very slightly at the very end. And that might help you because, I mean, ideally, I think it would be cool to just like rush straight into it and stop.
That's
but something's
weird.
something's holding you back from doing that. Right
Yeah,
now,
I was
right?
afraid. Yeah, but
You're
I
afraid.
think I noticed that my inside is a conflict that I wanted to do that because I accelerated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
to do it, but then I may not be able to do it. So there's two people inside. That's why conflict. That's why it's not clear.
Well, so we have to make a decision, right? Again, no
Yeah,
one's
I have to
looking
make a
at
decision.
no one's looking at the score. You have to just play it in a way that makes
That's
sense orally. So forget about the accelerando. Even if you're doing it a little bit here, I think it would work super easily if you went right. You can slow down at the end
That's a good idea.
and create that effect. It doesn't really matter what he wrote.
Yeah, I have 1 week. I can do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So experiment
you.
with that, right? Just
Okay.
make a different decision.
Okay.
As long as whatever you do works, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
I really think.
Before by this movement to mix this up.
I don't think Metner would be upset by it at all.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Metner was very unknown at the time when he was writing, but then the Maharaja of Mysore, actually in India, was a big fan of his, and his estate funded the recording of all of Metner's works, and that's how he's famous now. Thank you very much. Of course.
So I'm playing Schubert.
Impromptu?
Impromptu. So I'm giving you my
Okay.
score. I'm gonna need the backup for that. I'm gonna need this as a backup, assuming that I need the sort of.
Well, yeah. Okay. So then why don't I'll keep this here in
Okay.
case you need it. the memory would have been easier.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
the first page that's the
Yeah,
hard thing. Because
yeah.
sometimes it's got octaves in the left hand, and sometimes it's got single notes.
Yeah.
So like just as you sort of work on memory for this piece, I would be very intentional about looking at one phrase to the next, what's
Okay.
different.
Yeah.
Because they're small changes and it's very easy to get turned
Yeah,
around
yeah,
on
for
the
sure,
first
yeah.
page. Yeah.
You
I
never,
actually
you
never,
never
no.
performed that for us
No.
without the music. Why did you decide to do that today?
Oh no, I have tried it. I think I performed it music before, no?
No.
Oh, okay. I was trying to.
Well, it's good to try,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then that's the only way you find out where the spots are that
Right,
need
yeah.
attention. Well, there were lots of beautiful things. Let's do comments first, and then we can go from there. Any comments?
All of them, several of them I've heard it before.
Yeah.
On the first page, I saw that your left foot was tapping tempo. And anytime I think impromptu, I think Schubert, especially his fourth one. Like I've never heard a piano player play an impromptu like perfectly in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I saw that when you got to your second page and your triplets came in, you took your foot and you were starting the soft pedal, and I actually felt like your sound, and I saw you seem more relaxed
Yeah.
too. And so I think when you're approaching that first page, even though it's very modal, choir-like,
Mhm.
very like chord, I don't think you can give yourself more time if you need to, just to find the right colors and notes too, and you don't have to play it such like in time, because I feel like when we like trying to trap ourselves, trying to keep tempo, we start losing like the type of sounds we want to create. And I really started getting into your playing when you started getting into the next thematic sections. And then one more comment is it's also the same thing what she was saying about the left hand. The left hand has a da 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 and octaves. It's the second to last page. I think your right hand's covering that up with the texture.
Oh, okay.
But I really like that piece. I love it on these too.
Yeah, I was trying to do, so yeah, my issue with the first page has always been the kind of keeping like a march tempo every 16 count, kind of, that
Yeah.
beat thing. And I usually kind of do it more swinging,
Yes, I was gonna say that the 16th, the dotted 16th
Right.
thing sounds like a triplet.
Right.
More than
Yeah,
a dot with a
yeah,
16.
yeah.
So actually, it's very
That's
astute.
my challenge, yeah.
It's a very astute observation what you made about the rhythm. To me, there were throughout the piece, I was very aware of the 4/4 time signature.
Mhm.
Like I knew where even when the triplets came in,
Mhm.
I thought it was a very, we might say BT, I guess.
Mhm.
Like it's like
Mhm.
1,
Mhm.
2,
Mhm.
and I think we have to do everything we can to obscure that
Mhm.
for the piece to work because it's such a long piece and it's
Right.
very repetitive.
Right.
So we don't really want to feel each beat in every measure. So for this opening, I noticed also in your hand you move your wrist with the beat. I don't know if your teacher has pointed that out to you.
Yeah, I've been trying to kind of cut that the right hand.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes we want it, right? When we have the portado, the dots underneath the slur, we do want that motion because it creates the lift. But the rest of the time, we should be thinking in terms of the line where we're going, rather than thinking in terms of the beats. So I'm going to also ask you the same question that I asked him in the beginning, right? What's the effect that's created when we have this melody in the opening? We hear it for the first time just as single notes.
Yeah.
Then we hear it with harmony,
Yeah.
but still not too many notes.
Right.
Then later we hear it with octaves, right?
Yeah.
And we have to create a very clear distinction in the effect of each one.
Yeah.
So what character would you say the opening has?
Yeah, so it's a somber start where you kind of melancholic more.
Yeah.
And you sort of like getting into this, I kind of imagine myself just getting on the piano and trying to start to kind of emote something just in response to whatever that.
Yeah, it just emerges out of
right,
nothing,
that
yeah.
sadness or what have you. And then building up from just melancholy and just kind of playing around to really getting more serious with it and getting angry and getting
Yes.
frustrated and getting all of that.
Yes.
And then eventually getting to the latter part where it's a little bit more,
Very
kind of a bit of hope at the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but you go to like a whole range of
Yes,
emotions
yes.
of rage and frustration.
And it's funny because it's the same melody through
Right,
all of
right,
it, right?
right.
So To me, I think an adjective that I find important for this opening section is noble. It's, you know, it's the kind of emotion where you're not getting swept up yet, right? As you pointed out, it's coming. It's very, it's clinical in a way,
It's
even
kind of
as it's
lifelike.
yeah. And I wonder if, you know, with that in mind, if you can try the opening, don't play it from the octave, just from, you know, the single note melody, and try to avoid the bouncing on the beat and think about the line more. That's much better already, right? Now we have to really focus in on these 16th dots because they happen throughout the piece. So that's important, right? So you should subdivide in your head. It's slow enough that you can, and that'll help you. Think of that like C is belonging to the next note. It doesn't belong to the note before it. It's an upbeat to the next note. So almost make it even shorter actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Keep going. Okay, so what do you think the dynamic is if you haven't seen it on the score for this opening?
That's for the opening. That's
Yeah.
the piano.
What is the dynamic in your score?
Score's right there.
Oh, and then my score, it's still be a piano.
What you just played.
Yeah, it's piano, pianissimo.
It's pianissimo,
Yeah,
this opening.
yeah.
And then when does it change?
It changes to piano here.
Yeah, so this actually, all of this first section is in the same dynamic.
Right.
So, I think you're doing too much. You have
Okay.
so much to go through.
Okay, right, I know.
Don't
I know,
give it
I know.
away,
It's like
right?
a lot of energy to get
Yes,
through.
so you can't give it away too soon because then
Okay.
we're not going to feel, you know, when it
Okay.
happens later.
Okay.
So if I may just,
Oh, sure, yeah.
you know, and then still very soft. And I take time, you know, when I need to, but like this, all of this. Imagine like the notes are like fluttering out there, right? I think you're sitting very in the piano right now. Think about like lifting out of it. Like you're being pulled up with a string from the top of your head to it. Find that first, I think the first, where, so this is not important, right? We're going there. So don't accent the first one. No, stay all one down. Don't do any crescendo. It feels very different now at the beginning than it will get to later. Okay. I marked a couple things here and there that I wanted to point out. So I wonder if we can jump to the second page where the triplets start to come in. But maybe do from a little bit before, maybe pum pa pum do.
The last one.
Yeah. My piano here, right? Can we get more pedal? I think it needs it. So, do we expect that chord that happens, that D flat major chord? We really don't, right? I feel like you've played it a million times and you're like, this is, been there, done that. We don't want that, right? So go back a little bit further. So what do we expect there actually? What harmony do we expect? I think it's always good to compare and contrast. Because we have like, we expect the same thing, right? We expect to go to C minor, and now we have. And he's added that little to even further emphasize that, right? You should take time there, and there's a reason he's put that pianissimo, right? Oh, and now the sun comes out from behind the cloud. Yeah? So take time there. So you should fully end the C minor chord before you play the D flat. Let the sound completely clear. Yeah. Yes. And I would use soft pedal there because that's a special color. Yes. Okay. Now, this left hand, of course, we don't want to hear it as much as the right hand, but well, actually, now the rest of the piece basically has triplets, right? What's the effect of the triplets now that they've entered the piece? Yes.
Is it to add more nuance and vibrato to the melody?
Is that I suppose my question is more, what's the effect of the triplets?
Lighter?
It makes it flow more.
It has flow. Yes, this section, the major section, it has flow. It has motion, right? As motion. Later we come to where it's like the same note that's over and over again. What effect is that? That's a more minor section, right? Where does that start? That's on like. Oh, this is like on measure like 96, where you go back to the.
yeah.
So one effect, of course, is to create motion. When you have the repeated note where it's just like, you know that part? We have that repeated note for a really long time. Then what's the effect along with the motion? Because now we're hearing it against the same melody we had at the very beginning, which is very familiar to us, right?
So it makes me feel more anxious? Like
Yes, anxious. Yeah, insecure, right? There's this undercurrent of what was like kind of accepted is now in question. It's like, what's going to happen? And so for you to create motion and anxiety with these triplets, you have to create some sort of, you have to shape them a little bit. So when we go back to where the triplets first start, you can do all of this softly. I would really recommend practicing this left hand alone. Make beautiful music with it. Right? And then, of course, once you comes in, all of that is going to go to like 25%, but still do the same thing. So. So think about it, you're playing these 4 E flats. What's creating the sense of direction is your left hand. Right, so your left hand is actually very important. It's not important in volume, but it's important in all the harmonic shifts that are happening. Because otherwise your right hand is very simple and kind of boring, right? So try your left hand alone there and create the most beautiful music. This is the peak of emotion. That's already much better. Do you feel like you've created the most beautiful music? Do you feel like you've reached there? Okay, so
yes, kind of adding that and shifting it to the softer and kind of.
Yes. So now, so now you're gonna add in your right hand, and be listening to your left hand as well. Not to the point where it takes over your right hand, but to the point where your right hand is shaped by your left hand.
Easier said. Yeah.
This the tricky part is putting it together. Well, okay. So let's focus on that one measure, right? We have 4 E flats in our right hand. In our left hand, we have 3 beats that have this A flat major harmony. We have 1, 2, third beat is different, and then comes back to A flat. So, which is the most interesting beat in that measure?
The third one.
The third beat. You went softer on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it makes sense that I would emphasize it, right?
Right.
And then it helps you also crescendo to the next measure. Yeah, yes, right idea. Good. So now the shaping is nice, but the left hand needs to come down several notches. Yes, but this is, you're on the right track. Yeah, you're just thinking differently about it. Good. Can we go to where it switches in measure 60, where your left hand has the melody?
Oh, yeah.
We have 2 more people.
Yes. So Michelle, I would do the same work with this one. Play your left hand. Right now your right hand is a little bit loud.
My right hand
Yeah,
is
make
loud.
it really like fluttery and light there. I circled 2 things towards the end. You know, this section here, where you have your left hand on the off beats, this is similar to what we talked about with the previous piece, right? To create that sense of lift on the ands. So I would think about that there, and also that it's pianissimo. And the other spot I circled was another special moment, I think, in measure 167, where this is where you have your melody and you have. And we have that major, C major chord, which is very unexpected, and I didn't hear it. Because you need a little more time for that E natural to come out. So I think in general, you would benefit from, sorry, I don't know your name. As Matthew pointed out, not rubato, but taking time in the moments that are special to do the things that you want to do, right? Because Schubert doesn't involve a lot of rubato, but there are very interesting harmonic things that happen, and so you have to give them space to speak. So I would say a little bit of separate hand work to smooth out the triplets, and then overall just take a little bit more time and enjoy it more. Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you.
Awesome. So I didn't challenge you with that, right? Do you want to go next one? What do you think?
I'm playing Chopin's 4 Prelude.
With E
E
minor?
minor.
Yeah.
I'm not used to piano master classes. I didn't realize I had to bring a.
You don't have to, I don't. Yeah. I have it on my iPad.
Stop. Sorry, I'm throwing on the headphone. I'm just starting to play piano, so I've also never been in front of an audience.
Well, good. That was very impressive.
Oh my God, yeah.
Any comments from Anthony Krumel?
I really like those aeronautical. He has a understanding of where dynamics, for example,
Yes.
creativity, it was a logical example.
Yes.
Do you play another instrument?
I play clarinet, yeah.
I felt whenever you press the pedal, I could hear like when starting the pedal, and the was the only one. When the rest play, I don't hear the pedal being pressed. In your case, I heard it.
Does it affect the sound? How hard I press it?
It's like getting bass drum. No, I didn't hear that. I just
It's not when you press it down, when you lift it up, and it slaps the strings.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I did not hear that, but that's what happened.
I think you could probably find a gentler way also because of this piece, right? Sometimes we want a very strident, like pedal if you're playing some very like march kind of piece, but I think you can
or you want to clear it fast.
lure the pedal a little bit.
I didn't realize. Yeah. So I basically I'll take my foot more carefully off the pedal.
Yeah. So you know when if you just let it go, then it comes up and hits the top. Yeah, you see here that sound?
Yeah.
about this piece is how these harmonies shift with just one or two notes and create a line through it. So I think this is actually a great piece to follow up the impromptu because we have a similar interaction between the right hand and left hand here, right? Can you play us just the right hand melody?
Right hand, okay.
It's so boring. Like, who would, you wouldn't hear this melody and think there was anything interesting in it, but it becomes interesting because of all of that left hand, right? So I agree with Michelle. I thought, and Vicky, like your overall like dynamic swells were wonderful. I think you have to find a way to make your left hand softer but create the same shape. Because right now, your right hand is a little bit buried under the texture of your left hand.
Should I bring out my right hand more to also?
I think it can be a combination of both. Left hand getting softer and right hand a little bit more. And I actually think, so this right hand is, it's hard to have it sing because obviously the trickiest thing with the piano, as compared to the clarinet, for example, is that you have an immediate decay of the sound, right? As soon as you hit the note. So it's really about how you hit the note. So if I may show you a technique. So there's a way in which we press the key when we move slowly and from a distance where we can really control the way we touch the key, as opposed to if we start from the key, we can make it loud, but we don't have, fine control over the way we create the sound. So I can control the sound much more easily and make it be what I want it to be if my finger's coming from a little higher and I go down slowly. So I can make it pretty loud but not accented, balance between the resonance of your right hand, but not too loud. I would lift your fingers a little bit higher. So when you do this, but don't, your attack should also not be fast as you come down. Control over what you do on the note?
It's making me think about it more when
yes.
I'm listening and as I'm coming down.
Exactly.
What's it sound like?
When our finger starts on the key and we press the key, we're limited in what we can do, right? As soon as we press the key, it's over. Like we might do all the wiggling we want. We can't change the sound. So it's all about how you come down to touch the key. That's where you have the most control, right? Okay, now let's try your left hand alone and create the beautiful shapes you were doing before, but just at a lower volume.
There's one other thing that you did that he didn't do, and that's that you shifted fingers to one of your
Yes, I was also
fingers.
thinking 5 and 4 for that is much less control than like 4, 3, or 3, 2.
Yeah. And then you shift to.
No, so I actually, what did I do? I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It just has to happen a little faster because we want the rhythm. Bum, 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 right? Bum, bum, bum. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you're in a much, you're a very great observation, yes. That's a much easier finger then to control than your pinky, right? Your
Yes.
pinky's so little. Okay, so let's do the left hand. So there's a limit to how loud you want to go, you know? So bring your left hand even softer. Really well this time. You know, there's how far out do you have to come in order for the note to sound again? And that's the question really, and it depends on the piano also, right? So your fingers kind of never leave the keys and never quite come all the way up. Right? And really we only really care about when the harmony changes, right? That's the important one that we want to hear, the first one, and then it kind of just... Now the other thing, besides the volume, that will help your left hand stay down a little bit, is if it has a little bit of motion. Right now it's very metronomical, and I'm not mad at that, but I think that it does create, draws the focus to it more than we need, you know. So try this like little push and pull. Bum, 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 bum. And now you can relax. Push and pull as well, as you're doing it with the dynamics. Okay, so like go faster towards when the harmony is shifting, like things like that. Okay, now put them together and let's see what happens. So we want to hear that. That's an important note. So take a little bit more time. Maybe that was too much time, don't you think? B7 chord, but I think it was a little too much.
Okay.
Slow down. But what do you all think? It was beautiful. The push and pull that you have now, it's like enhancing everything you were doing with your shaping before. It's beautiful. I think your left hand can come down a little bit more, but that's just, you can play around with that and figure out the balance between your two hands. But that's really, really nice. So start, that's a good spot. Maybe from here. This also, I think this is a really particular, these are all special harmonies, of course, but like, right, because this is the first time we have a note that goes over the bar line. So I loved the accent. I think you can take a little bit more time on this C major 7.
Going into the C major 7, I can take more time.
Yes.
Okay.
Feel free to start wherever you want to feel.
So D.
And now keep it moving because you took that extra time, right? This is not so important. change back to this here. So do your left hand here, and with the right hand maybe. Oh, your music has a mistake. This chord should also happen here.
Oh.
Yeah, so this should not be the same.
So that.
Yeah, so it's so this, instead of this chord, play this one.
Okay.
Okay, so but while we're stopped, what's different about the second time?
You have the added A flats right here, and then this F, instead of it being F sharp, it's F natural. So
Right.
it's got more crunchy dissonance, it's more tragic.
And what's the effect in terms of where we're going?
It's getting more. It's leading to this.
This very climactic moment,
Climactic,
right?
yeah.
So the first time when we have this repeat B, C, B, blah, 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 it's taking way longer to travel through, like we're going through all these narrow paths. This time it gets there much faster. So I think you have to have more motion in the way you play it and open up sooner now. So can we play from here? Right hand. Now more. Good. So I would be careful when you reach this climactic moment that your left hand chords are not so loud that they overpower your right hand. So I love the strong bass. We can use that because it's so far from your right hand. But when we have these chords in the middle of the piano and they're this close to your right hand, that's when the overpowering happens, right? So how can you create that feeling of a really rich left hand without actually playing it that loud?
You have more right hand.
Yeah, more right hand for sure, but you have to find a way to keep that intensity in these chords without actually playing them too loud.
I think maybe the attack can still have accent, but they can't overpower.
Yes,
the
yes,
right hand.
exactly. Maybe you can start from ba, 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 da, 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 da. Give me more right hand there. So, okay, actually, let me show you something. So we always do this. We go to this big climax and we give it away too soon, right? We've taken so much effort to get there, but. This is like the most passionate part of this piece, right? Which for so long is very long. But here we have to kind of give it all. And then I wonder if you noticed, I took much longer to diminuendo in my right hand than I did in my left hand, right? My right hand stayed up, but my left hand was already kind of soft. And then only here does my right hand diminuendo where it says to diminuendo, right? So try that. You know? Yeah, make sure I hear the top note in that because we want to hear right for the last three chords. Yeah. Yes. Very nice. Okay. One thing I want to point out to all of you that I actually noticed was something in common with the ends of pieces and points in the middle where you have a pause. You all hold your pedal longer than after you lift your hands. Do not lift your hands until you're lifting the pedal. Right? Like, even logically, like, it doesn't make sense to the audience. They see you lift your hands, it's like the end of the piece, but the sound is still going. Right? And we forget about that because we're so used to having the pedal. But don't do that because you're still in that space of the piece, right? Till the pedal is lifted. So do that ending and hold us in the intensity of the piece till you lift your foot. Let's wait and just stay there. Both at the same time. Yes. So just keep that in mind for all the pieces.
I have a question about
Yes.
that. In my piece, the last chord is arpeggiated.
Uh-huh. Does
So-
it have a staccato or anything?
No.
Can I see your music?
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out what to do with that.
It was beautiful.
Very
Thank
nice
you.
job. You have a good ear.
Well, that's still fine, right? Because it's not a, you'll still do, and then as you lift your hand, lift the pedal. It doesn't have to stay forever, right? So you'll be holding, I know, you let go obviously one note, but it should release as you release with your hands. Yeah, so it doesn't need necessarily, so his last piece is, last chord is like down. Right? This is different, this is up. What we don't want is, you see that's a difference. It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. It's like these little moments of polish that can, yeah, especially at the end of a piece. So just watch out for that. Okay, last one. What do we have?
Play the speaking song.
Oh, cool.
I also don't have a copy.
That's okay.
here.
Well, any comments from you all?
When you begin it, the spinning wheel is starting. So start slowly and gradually speed up and income.
Well, that could be a nice idea. You want to try that? Let's see what it sounds like. One more time.
No, slower.
Yes. But you only have one measure in which you have to reach the tempo of the rest of the piece. So, yes, there you go. Yeah, a nice idea. Play around with it and see how you feel. Once you're convinced, then it'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to do it, but it's always nice to have suggestions like that.
Okay.
Any other comments?
So the species, let's say the left hand, and the right hand is 16 notes and all the quarters, so different rhythm, right?
Yeah.
So that was the combination is key. So I thought that you pay attention to, to coordinate the both hands.
Yeah, it's very well coordinated.
Yeah.
Valentina, what's the character or emotion that you associate with this piece?
It makes me happy.
I agree.
Do you think he looked like he was happy when he was playing it though?
When I
You
hear
look
it, when
so
I play it alone, I'm happy. When I play it in front of people, I'm stressed.
I mean, this is the problem for all of us when we perform, isn't it? You have to fake it till you make it. Okay? So I got very serious vibes. You were like, I'm playing this high work of art. And it doesn't need to be like that. This is a children's game, I think, right? Like spinning song, maybe it's like a top spinning or a spinning wheel or whatever, right? Something very, very chill, easy, even if it may not feel physically like easy, you have to convince the audience that you could play this in your sleep. Okay? And this is just a joke.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind and try that with me again.
Okay.
Did it sound different?
Yeah.
Yes. You know what you immediately did? You made your left hand notes shorter. The staccatos. They sounded, I don't want to say lazy before, but they were like, oh, I don't really want to play. My mom is sending me out. It was that kind of vibe, but you should be like, I'm going on this like jolly, adventure kind of thing. So that was already very different. So try that again. Really think about, you're an actor really, like when you're performing, right? We're all actors, but we don't have words. So we have to embody it in our bodies so that it can translate to the sound. So you have to sit up straight, you have to have balance, internally also in your body. And let's try it. Good. Okay, keep going from there. What would you all say? So we know this piece is happy, but in this specific section, I wonder if we can come up with an even more specific adjective to contrast it from the first section. The ba-da-da-da. Yes.
Humorous.
Yes, I think it's kind of funny, right? Because the first section it's kind of in the same harmony. Da-da-da-da-da, bum, bum, straightforward, but this is like bum, bum. It's on the offbeats, right? It's not the and. It's like you're like poking someone. Yeah. So can you make it humorous? Make your right hand shorter and unexpected. Yes. And then don't give it away like that. So after you do the what is this? Oh, we didn't even see this. You start piano and you have a crescendo to forte. I think you could do a lot more. So after you do you could take a little bit more time and do what Tim suggested earlier, right? Where you start a little slower. zero starts there, so we only get soft on the last. You're so concerned with getting to the C that the C disappears. Bum, 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 ba-da. Yeah. Don't rush. You've kind of ignored that C. It just disappears in the. So just work on that. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, you don't have to rush to it, right? So you land bum, 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 bum is one idea, and then ba-da-dum is another idea. So don't feel like you have to rush into it. Yes? Yeah. Okay, now let's try keeping your right hand softer here. What's our dynamic here?
Piano.
Piano. So it's kind of, maybe this is like you're telling someone a secret. If it's piano, right? We have to come up with some sort of like story to make it all make sense. Okay? So try here. Did you hear what this person did? No, I didn't tell you. Now this is the juicy part of the secret. Give us more. Now soften. Okay, now this is where the teacher says, share your secret with the rest of the class. So now you have to, it's the same melody, right? But it's in your right hand now, and it's louder. So you can do it, instead of being secretive with it, now you're open. Yeah. But still, it's still a juicy secret, right? So it has to be bouncy. Is there a pause there by any chance?
She wants me to pause a bit, but
Yes, you have to, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense, I think. You know, like we have all of this. And then that's a perfect place to start softer. You know, this is very dramatic. So act it out really dramatic. But you have to act it with your hands to and don't move it to your next position immediately. Because then you give it one more time. You don't, when you're playing, every second feels like a minute.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it, but you gotta milk the drama. Did he move, right? Immediately? Don't move. You're frozen in time. And then that first note, when you go back to the episode, we don't know where you're going. You know you're going back to the beginning, and it'll be familiar to us. We don't know. So don't give it away. It should be real. The humor is in the timing. You know, when you're telling a joke, right? You can say the joke, but if you don't have the correct humor with the timing with the punchline, it's going to fall flat, right? So I'll show you, right? I'll play it like. done. And then it's like the train is going, you know? So just make sure that verse F, when you go back there, is like really precise. More time. No, before the F, more time. More time in between. Yes. I would do a diminuendo there. On this but I would start actually the diminuendo a little sooner. It's like the train is going way into the distance, right? And it's just like kind of fading away.